Well, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Just Shauna here to talk about some friggin' books. I can already tell I'm gonna be way too hot in this hoodie. It's fine. I have actually 5 books to talk about today. Where's the 5th one? Hello? Oh, I know where I put it. 1 second. Okay, yeah, I have 5 to talk about. One, though, is a volume of a graphic novel. This should be pretty quick, and another is a book that I already have an individual review up for, so I won't talk about too much either. The first couple are books I actually finished at the end of February. The first one being The Henna Artist by Alka Joshi, and this was a buddy read with Monet over at Life as Monet. And it's historical fiction. We are following the main character, Lakshmi, who escaped from an abusive arranged marriage and started a new life for herself as a renowned henna artist for the wealthy women of Jaipur. Her younger sister, that she did not know existed, shows up, and the carefully constructed life and reputation that she has built for herself is threatened. So this was a very mixed bag of a read for both of us, for Monet and myself. As a concept, great. The cultural aspects of it were great. The writing, solid. But the characters, the biggest drawback for both of us was Lakshmi as the main character. She was slightly, I don't want to say too stupid to live character. She was just in so much denial. It was distracting as a reader. This 13-year-old girl, her younger sister, shows up completely naive, completely unpredictable, a little bit wild, clearly does not understand how the social caste system works and how she needs to behave in order for Lakshmi to continue doing what she's doing and working toward her goals and her dreams and earning money and whatnot. And Lakshmi does next to nothing to try to teach her sister anything. She gives her these list of rules and is that's good enough. Maybe have an actual conversation with her, get to know her, build a foundation of trust and a bond between the two of you, perhaps. And then as the reader, you're seeing things happening on the sidelines that Lakshmi is being made aware of. She's overhearing a weird conversation, or this boy that works for her tells her something strange about her sister, and she just does nothing about it. She doesn't inquire further. She's just oh, I don't know, I need to worry about my henna stuff. What? Girl, ask a few questions. I don't know. All of her problems, basically, could have been easily avoided had she just gotten to know her sister, inquired further about these weird things she was hearing or seeing on the sidelines, and done something about it. And so it was very frustrating just seeing her constantly just completely ignoring things that were happening around her, and you knew this was going to cause more problems, and sure enough, it did. The cultural aspects, like I said, though, we did both enjoy that as well. It was very immersive, this time period in India, and like I said, the caste system, and just seeing all of that and how that all played out with Lakshmi and her trying to work up in the caste system, kind of. That was interesting. I don't wish that I hadn't read this or anything. I don't regret reading it. The writing style was perfectly enjoyable. Learning about Jaipur in the 1950s was interesting. However, the only tabs I used while reading this were my annoyed or angry tabs due to Lakshmi's willful ignorance. So I ended up giving this one a 2.75 on the lower end for a 3-ish rating. I don't regret reading it, but also I wouldn't be missing out if I hadn't read it. I would read other works with different characters by this author. The next one is the one that I have an individual review up for, and that is So Many Beginnings by Bethany C. Morrow. This is a Little Women remix, part of the remix series that's going on by Fywell and Friends. And one of my most anticipated books of the year is another Fywell and Friends remix of Wuthering Heights by Tasha Suri, coming out later this year. And this one came out actually this past fall in 2021. I can't remember what month exactly, but I picked it up, I pre-ordered it because I love the movies for Little Women. Well, The newer one I liked, and then the old like 1940s one, loved that one, grew up watching that all the time. And I DNF'd the book though, because it was so goddamn boring. So I was very excited for this. It's shorter, whatnot. It's a remix, reimagining of it. I thought maybe this one will be the one that I will really enjoy. And it was. Oh my God, it was so cute. So freaking cute. So it's obviously young adult historical fiction. It's set in North Carolina in 1863. So we have a family here who they were all born into slavery and now they are emancipated and they are settled at a colony of freed people in North Carolina on Roanoke Island. And this is where the March family has set down their roots. And we have the 4 daughters, Meg, Jo, Beth, and then Amy. And the characters and the, the larger plot and what's happening in the story it's the same framework, right, that we have here. But it is still very different. And I really liked the changes that Bethany C. Morrow made here with this story and with these characters. Again, the characters are all similar archetypes, but they do have differences, which makes sense considering their very different circumstances and life experiences from the characters in the original. So it would be silly if they weren't wildly different. We see so much of the wider world in this one and what's going on in like the wider United States and globally a little bit as well. And I really liked that aspect. I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, there's some plot changes that she makes. One in particular that I really, really enjoyed a lot, especially for these characters and what they've already been through. Without spoiling anything, I'll just say that we did not have added trauma, so that was good. And then also some character dynamic changes that were made. And one in particular I thoroughly loved, and these 2 characters, I just loved their dynamic together. So precious, like I can't even. A couple of quotes to save in here that were surrounding these 2 characters and just how precious and wholesome and lovely they were. We have it, it's not like stated on the page, but I wouldn't think that it would be in 1863. I don't know that it was even like language that was available at the time. But what I saw as pretty clear asexual representation from a character in here, and I really liked that as well and how that all played out. And I liked that, I didn't necessarily specify this in my individual review. There's a lot of conversations happening in this book, obviously, about what Black people were going through at this time that also kind of reflect what Black people unfortunately still go through today, with various little microaggressions or how people are treated in the medical field and things like that, right? And I appreciated it so much because it was conversations being had. Our characters did get a little bit of like microaggression, or it was more though that they were referencing it and talking about it more so than seeing it happening to them on the page. For the theme of the book, for the various themes and the various topics that the author touched on, we didn't have to subject our characters to those things by talking about them, right? I had to turn my fan on, and now I hope it doesn't start to bother, the air doesn't bother me, but God, I'm so hot. Anyway, yeah, I really, really enjoyed this though. The only detriment for me, and with time it hasn't bothered me as much, but while I was reading it, there were a couple times where the writing style didn't exactly work for me, where it was this thing where she would have a conversation happening and a character would ask a question, a very important question, or like say something that was like, oh my gosh. And then we would like break away from the conversation, from the dialogue, to have another character have like this internal monologue or internal thought and like go off in a little daydream, like thinking back to like when they were in the old days. And then like a page and a half later, it's like back to the conversation. And it kind of pulled me out of the story a little bit, where I was like, okay, can we get back to the conversation? I wanted to know the answer to that. And like sometimes it'd be like by the time we got back to the dialogue, I'm like, wait, what was the question that was asked again? And it didn't happen a lot to me, but it did happen a few times, enough that I noticed, specifically towards the end of the book, where it kind of bothered me a little bit. So that was the only detriment, but Otherwise, I really, really enjoyed this book a lot. I'm going to keep this copy. This is absolutely going to be a comfort read for me in the future. It was just so wholesome and precious, but also like had a deeper, more profound message being talked about. So I ended up giving this 4.75 stars. Definitely recommend if you like some historical fiction, young adult stuff. And then I finally read Monstrous Volume 6, The Vow, and I don't have a crap ton to say about this. I mean, it's a graphic novel series that is ongoing, and this one, not a lot necessarily happened. I feel like not a lot necessarily happened in the last one. It's like things happen, but nothing crazy like, oh my God, you know, it was just like things moving along. I kind of want to reread all of them soon, but I don't know how long it's going to go on. I don't know how many volumes total they plan to have, but I still really enjoy it. It's a fun time. This one though, because like not as much really happened, I rated it a little lower, 3.75 stars. Still very enjoyable, but a little lower I think than the other ones I have read. Anyway, still enjoyed, just wasn't like super shocking or moving or profound or anything. And then I read The Coward by Stephen Arion. Finally. So this is adult fantasy and very much like a quest fantasy type of thing. We have our main character, Kel, who slew the big bad about 10 years ago when he went off on a quest to save the 5 kingdoms with a group of real-life heroes. He was the only one to return and has been living a quiet life as a farmer since then, dealing with his demons and kind of his PTSD from the whole experience. Now there is a new evil afoot, and Cal has been asked to once again go back to the icy, uninhabited north to save the realm. So first off, I've said this before and I want to clarify because I've said before I don't like traveling in stories. What I mean by that is I don't like bebopping around. Too much like going here and going there and going there, and then we're going back over here, and then we're going back over there. I lose interest. I don't know. I just get like lost where I'm like, oh my God, I get exhausted. Is that weird? Like I'm just sitting there reading, but it genuinely like exhausts me if in a story we're just going like beep, boop, beep, boop, 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 boop. And so quest fantasies, when it's like going from point A to point B or like maybe A to B to C, like that's fine. I wanted to clarify that because like the traveling here did not bother me because we were going from point A to point B. And this one with the characters, I really enjoyed these characters and their interactions and seeing them get to know each other. We have kind of a band of reluctant heroes who kind of become pals, kind of not, and then do. And like just seeing those relationships develop though, I really enjoyed that. I didn't necessarily find myself super connected to any of them, like emotionally, just feeling like, oh my God, I love this character. But I generally liked all of them and I enjoyed getting to know them, you know? I thought the world building was good. I thought it was perfectly sufficient and there wasn't anything lacking for me. I wouldn't say that we got like huge, well, we did talk about or hear about different parts of the world, but maybe not super duper in depth, but I don't feel like we needed to for what we were doing in this story. I suspect, based on how things played out in this one, that in the sequel, it's a duology, and I suspect that in the sequel, The Warrior, we will get more of that for sure. So I look forward to that though. So I thought this was a fun time. Like I said, I didn't get super emotionally invested in anything, but I had a good time reading it. There was never a point where I wasn't enjoying the read, and I definitely am going to pick up the second book and check that out and see what happens because I'm very intrigued to see what happens based on where we left off. Some big shit at the end. So I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. A very solid. I enjoyed it. Had a fun time. And then a reread that I mostly listened to on audio because it was a reread until the final like 150 pages. I did physically read that. And that is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. And I am currently buddy reading the second book. I have thoughts. I'm not done with it yet, though. I still stand by, man. The last, like, 150, 200 pages of this book are just, it's some of the most fun, just epic action movie sequence, hell yeah, get you hyped up shit ever in a book. It's so much fun. Oh my God. And I also still stand by the fact that this could have been cut down probably by like 200 pages. The middle portion, particularly, my God, but whatever. I still enjoyed going along on this journey and getting to know Bryce. In this book, Bryce is still one of my favorite, if not my favorite, one of my favorite Sarah J. Maas characters. I just really appreciate who she is and how she is. And yeah, and I like we're dealing with grief here, trauma, and working through all of that. And I appreciated how all that was done. And the plot is fun and interesting. You're like, what's going on? This big mystery we're trying to solve. Who done it? Oh my God. And then, yeah, that ending, Jesus Christ. It's just, oh, I get emotional. I got emotional the first time. I got emotional the second time. Just from the sheer, like, awesomeness of it. Oh my God. It's like, to me, this might sound really stupid, but it's seriously like the scene in frickin' Endgame when Cap is standing there all disheveled and like, all right, I'm gonna be the last man standing. And then we hear, on your left, and it makes me emotional every time. Oh my God. And that's the same feeling. It's the same, just like epic, like, hell yeah, that I get in the last 150 pages of this book. It's just like over and over and over. You're just like, fuck yeah, oh my God, yes, just getting so hyped. And it might be just like super cheesy shit. I don't care. It's fun. I love it. Here comes the cavalry, just epic action nonsense. So yeah, I had a good time on my reread of this, for sure. If like, because the first time I read this, I rated it 4.5 stars. I still kind of want to do that, but it's like the only reason, like probably honestly, if there was like 200 pages cut and edited down from like the beginning and the middle, I might rate this like 5 stars, honestly, because it's so much fun. But with that freaking middle part and like needing to edit it down so much, I think I got to give it like an honest rating of 4.25, because I don't think the last 200 pages, is it worth like, I don't know, man. Yeah, no, I think it's 4.5. You guys like how often I'm fucking doing a wrap up and I'm just like, wait, what do I want to rate it? Like, I change my mind. I do this all the time, I swear to God. But yeah, I think I'll keep it at a 4.5. And I was gonna say 4.25, but I'm like, when I think about this book, it doesn't feel like a 4.25. It feels like a 4.5. But yeah, anyways, thoroughly enjoyed my reread of this. And there we have it. There's the 5, right? 5 books? No, I can't remember what number I said, but there they are. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already and you feel so inclined. And of course, you can just leave a little emoji if you just want to say hello. But if you have any thoughts on any of these books, please do let me know in the comments down below. You can also, of course, check out my little link tree in the description, which has some of my affiliate links for various things, if there are books you want to buy, etc. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.